Ready to escape into a world of enchanting pixels? What is up, my peeps? And today we're going to be reading Toy Story 2 Storybook Adaptation. Hey, Woody, ready to go to cowboy camp? Andy said. Woody the cowboy doll was very excited about camp. He had been looking forward to it for weeks. Andy grabbed Woody and Buzz Lightyear, the Space Ranger, his two favorite toys. Never tangle with the unstoppable duo of Woody and Buzz Lightyear, he exclaimed, linking the toys' arms together. Just then there was a loud rip. Woody's shoulder had a tear in it. Andy's mom suggested fixing Woody on the way to camp, but Andy shook his head sadly. No, I'll just leave him. I'm sorry, honey, said his mom, but you know toys don't last forever. She put Woody up on a high shelf. Woody looked out the window as Andy left without him. He felt even worse when he discovered Wheezy, a toy penguin who'd been put on the same shelf months ago after a squeaker broke. Woody wondered if that was his future, too. The next morning, the toys spotted something terrifying. Andy had put up a sign for a yard sale. She looked around Andy's room for items to sell. The toys all watched in horror as she picked up Wheezy. Woody waited until Andy's mom left the room. Then he whistled for Andy's dog, Buster. Together, they snuck outside and rescued Wheezy. But as they headed back to safety, Woody tumbled to the ground with his injured arm. He couldn't hold on to Buster's collar. One of the sale shoppers saw Woody and picked him up. Then he smiled with excitement. Oh, I found him, he said. The man grabbed some other items to buy, hiding Woody in between them. But Andy's mother saw the cowboy. She told the man that Woody wasn't for sale. I'm sorry, she said. It's an old family toy. She took Woody and locked him up in the cash box. As soon as she turned around, the man pried open the box and stole Woody. From the upstairs window, the other toys watched in shock. Buzz quickly jumped out the window and slid down the drain pipe to rescue his friend. But he was too late. Buzz watched the man's car drive away. The license plate read... What does that say? LZ Toy Barn. What does the LZ stand for? I know TYBRN is Toy Barn, but... Anyway. The man brought Woody home and put him in a glass case. Then he put on a chicken suit. You, my little cowboy friend, are going to make me oh my god. You, my little cowboy friend, are going to make me big bucks, the man said. He flapped his wings and walked out. Woody knew the man was the owner of Al's Toy Barn. He'd seen him wearing the chicken suit on a commercial for the store. Woody pushed open the door to the glass case and ran to the door, but he couldn't get out of the apartment. Suddenly, a toy horse galloped over, and a cowgirl hugged him tightly. Yee-haw, it's really you, she shouted. She danced Woody around and pulled his string. Then she put her ear to his chest and listened to his voice box. There's a snake in my boot. Ha! It's you, the cowgirl exclaimed. Her name was Jessie. She introduced Woody to the horse, Bullseye, and a toy still in its box, the Prospector. We've waited countless years for this day, the Prospector said. It's good to see you, Woody. Hey, how do you know my name? Woody asked. Why, don't you know who you are? And why, you don't know who you are, do you? Said the Prospector. Bullseye turned on the lights to reveal a room filled with things that had Woody's picture on them. Then Jessie showed Woody an old TV show called Woody's Roundup. Woody was the star. Meanwhile, back in Andy's room, Buzz and the other toys had figured out who had taken Woody. Buzz came up with a plan to rescue his friend. Woody once risked his life to save me, Buzz told the others. I wouldn't call myself his friend if I weren't willing to do the same. He and some of the toys set off for the store. We'll be back before Andy gets home, Buzz told the toys staying behind, to Al's Toy Barn and beyond. Did he actually say that line in the movie? I think he did. Anyway, at Al's apartment, Woody was watching episodes of Woody's Roundup. When the show was over, Woody, Jessie, and Bullseye hopped on a spinning record and ran around in circles. Woo-wee, Jessie cried. We're a complete set. Now it's on to the museum, declared the Prospector. Woody paused. What museum? He asked. The Prospector told him that as a complete set, they were valuable toys. Al planned to sell them to a museum in Japan for a lot of money. I can't go to Japan, Woody said. I've got to get back home to my owner, Andy. Jessie gasped. He still has an owner, she cried. She shook her head. I can't do storage again. The museum's only interested in the collection if you're in it, Woody, the prospector said. Without you, we go back into storage. Meanwhile, Buzz and his team were almost to Al's toy barn. They had one less street to cross, and it was a busy one. Buzz noticed a pile of orange traffic cones. He instructed everyone to grab one and put it on. Then slowly, they started to cross the street. Buzz called out directions as they went. Go, he said. Drop, and then, drop. I said drop! A car skidded to a halt. Beep, beep. Soon the street was filled with skidding, honking cars, all trying to avoid the moving cones. Luckily, the toys made it safely. Inside the store, the toys looked at the many aisles of shiny new toys. Whoa, said Slinky. How are we going to find Woody? Look for Al, Buzz instructed. We find Al, we find Woody. Buzz walked down the aisle full of brand new Buzz Lightyear toys. He gasped when he saw one of their new fancy utility belts. I could use one of those, he said. As Buzz reached out to touch a belt, the new Buzz Lightyear stopped him. Buzz tried to walk away, but the new Buzz tacked him and put him in a box. Then the new Buzz ran off to join Andy's toys. Back at Al's apartment, Jessie was upset that Woody wouldn't go back to the museum. I'm still Andy's toy, he told her. If you knew him, you'd understand. Let me guess, Jessie said sadly. Andy's a real special kid, and you're his best friend. And when Andy plays with you, it's like you start to feel... It's like you feel like you're alive. Woody stared at Jessie and wondered, how did you know that? Because Emily was the same, Jessie replied. She was my whole world. You never forget kids like Emily or Andy, but they forget you. Woody felt terrible. Jessie, he started. Just go, she said. Woody turned and walked away. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want to leave his new friends, but he couldn't help thinking about the old ones. Meanwhile, the new Buzz and Andy's toys had gone to Al's apartment building. The new Buzz pulled the grate off an air vent for the toys to crawl through. Come on, he said. We've got no time to lose. Since he thought he was a real space ranger, he tried to fly up to the top floor through the elevator shaft. Luckily, the elevator arrived just in time and carried everyone on its roof instead. When the toys reached the apartment, they were excited to see Woody. New Buzz grabbed Woody, Slinky wrapped Jessie and Bullseye up in his coils, and Ham jumped on the prospector's box. Hold it right there, a voice said suddenly. It was the real Buzz. The real Buzz tried to get Woody to leave with them, but Woody didn't want to go. I can't abandon these guys, Woody explained. They need me to get to the museum. Woody told his friends about the old TV show Woody's Roundup. He wanted them to understand. Woody, you're not a collector's item, Buzz cried. You are a toy. This is my only chance, said Woody. To do what? Buzz asked angrily. To watch kids from behind glass and never be loved again. Some life. Buzz turned to leave with the new Buzz and Andy's other toys. Woody sadly looked between the old TV show and Andy's name on the bottom of his boot. He loved Andy, but he didn't want to be forgotten when Andy was all grown up. Wouldn't it be better to be loved by all the visitors at the museum? Alright. Part 2 to this adaptation is A Wild Ride. Because that's just the way the storybook is when it came to adapting Toy Story 1 and 2. Which, fittingly enough, in this book are the first two stories. Anyway, Woody the cowboy doll watched his friends leave through the air vent. They'd come to bring him home. A man named Al had stolen Woody to sell him and the rest of the Roundup gang, Jessie the cowgirl, Bullseye the horse, and the prospector to a museum in Japan. Woody was ready to go. He was afraid that if he went home, Andy would grow up and forget about him, but his friends didn't understand. Suddenly, Woody realized that he couldn't stop Andy from growing up, but he didn't want to miss seeing it either. Buzz, wait! I'm coming with you, Woody shouted. Woody turned to his new friends and urged them to come with him, but the prospector blocked the vent. No hand-me-down cowboy doll is I'm gonna screw it up for me now, the prospector said. He didn't want Woody to leave. Without Woody, they couldn't be sold to the museum. Just then, the toys heard footsteps approaching. They quickly moved back to their places. Al hurried into the room and packed the Roundup gang in his suitcase. Then he ran out the door. He was late for his flight to Japan. He wanted to sell the toys as quickly as possible. Andy's toys and the new Buzz Lightyear they had met on the search for Woody all watched him panic from inside the vent. "Quick, to the elevator!" shouted the real Buzz, hoping to catch Al. But when they got there, an evil Emperor Zurg toy stood on the elevator roof. Zurg was Buzz Lightyear's enemy. He had seen the real Buzz escape from Al's toy barn and followed him to the apartment building. Zurg attacked with his blaster, and the new Buzz fired back with his laser. Rex was too scared to watch. As the dinosaur turned away, his tail accidentally knocked Zurg off the elevator roof. With Zurg out of the way, the toys lifted the elevator roof. Al was impatiently waiting to get to the ground floor. "Come on," he muttered. "Come on, come on, come on." Buzz held onto Slinky's legs, and Slinky stretched down to Al's case to undo the latches. Woody popped out of the case and grabbed hold of Slinky's paw. Just as Slinky Dog started to pull Woody up, the prospector grabbed Woody's arm tightly and yanked him back inside the case. Ding! "Ah, finally," Al exclaimed as the elevator reached the ground floor. As the doors slid open, the prospector shoved Woody back down in the case. Al hurried outside the elevator and ran outside. Al hurried out of the elevator and ran outside. Inside the elevator, Andy's toys dropped down from the roof. They watched Al leave. Then the toys ran to the doors, squeezing through them just before they closed. By the time Andy's toys were outside, Al had already driven off. They spotted a Pizza Planet delivery truck, and the door was open. The new Buzz went back to Al's toy barn, but everyone else hopped into the truck. Buzz took control of the wheel. "Slink, you take the pedals," he said. "Rex, you navigate." Rex stood on the dashboard and looked for Al's car. "He's at a red light," he suddenly shouted. "We can catch him." The 3 squeeze toy aliens hung from the rearview mirror. When the car wouldn't move, they said, "Use the wand of power." Ham pushed the gears and the truck sped off. "Rex, which way?" asked Buzz. "Right," said Rex. I mean left. No, right. You're right." They swerved through traffic and followed Al all the way to the airport. At the airport, the toys didn't know how they get through the crowd without anyone seeing them. Then Buzz spotted a pet carrier. The toys piled inside, sticking their legs through the small openings in the bottom so they could walk. "Ah, someone's coming," cried Rex. It was a little girl. "Oh, a puppy," she squealed. Slinky Dog barked a few times to scare her off. Before Buzz gave Slinky a thumbs up, the barking had worked. At the counter, Al was arguing with the ticket agent. "I'm not checking it," he told the agent. He didn't want to lose sight of the suitcase with the Roundup Gang toys, but he finally gave in. The ticket agent took the suitcase, still in the pet carrier. Andy's toys followed the green suitcase into the baggage area. Almost skipped a page there. The toys gasped. There were hundreds of suitcases moving in all different directions. How would they ever find Woody? "There's the case," yelled Slinky. "No, there's the case," said Ham, spotting another green one that looked exactly the same. The toys split up. When Buzz opened a suitcase, the prospector jumped up and punched him. "Hey, no one does that to my friend," Woody yelled at the prospector. Woody grabbed him, and the two started fighting. Woody's arm was torn in the same spot it had been earlier. Al had stitched him up so he'd be in perfect shape for the museum. Buzz raced to the rescue. Woody looked at the prospector and grinned. "I think it's about time you learn the true meaning of playtime," he said. Then Woody and Buzz strapped Prospector to a pink backpack. He moved out of the baggage area, and a little girl picked him up. "Ooh, a big ugly man doll," said the girl. "He needs a makeover." The prospector was scared. "I've got to get out of here," he said, but it was no use. Back inside the baggage area, Bullseye had freed himself from the green case, but Jessie was stuck. "Woody, help!" she cried. The toys watched as the case was loaded onto a cart. Woody and Buzz jumped on Bullseye's back. "Ride like the wind, Bullseye!" Woody shouted. They raced after the cart. Woody scrambled onto the cart, but it was too late. The green case was already being loaded onto a plane. Woody jumped into another bag so that he could get on the plane. He had to save Jessie. Once he was on board, Woody jumped down and ran to the green suitcase. "Excuse me, ma'am," Woody said to Jessie, "but I believe you're on the wrong flight." He grinned. Jessie's eyes lit up. "Woody," she cried and hugged him. "Come on, Jess," said Woody. "It's time to take you home." Just then, the plane door shut. They were trapped. The plane started to move. They had to get off. They found a hatch and crawled down to the plane's wheels. It was hard to stay on, and Woody slipped. Luckily, Jessie grabbed his arm in time. Woody's hat flew off, but it was caught by Buzz. He and Bullseye were riding alongside the plane. Woody was so happy to see him. Then the cowboy came up with a daring plan. First, he told Buzz to get behind the plane's tires. Then Woody used his pull string as a lasso and looped the end of it around a bolt. "Jessie," he shouted, "let go of the plane!" "What? Are you crazy?" Jessie shouted back. But she trusted Woody, so she let go of the plane. Holding on to each other, the pair swung around and under the plane. Woody's pull string unhooked from the bolt. They dropped onto Bullseye's back behind Buzz. "Nice roping, cowboy," Buzz said to Woody. Jessie hugged Woody. That was definitely Woody's finest hour. Woody smiled and looked at his friends. "Let's go home." When Andy returned from cowboy camp, he was happy to see his toys. Jessie and Bullseye had joined the rest of the toys to welcome him home. "Oh, wow, new toys," Andy said when he saw the cowgirl and the horse. "Thanks, Mom." Buzz looked at Woody and smiled. "You still worried?" he asked. "About Andy?" "No," he said. "It'll be fun while it lasts." Alright, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to y'all later.